Welcome to another edition of Prep Picks. Heather Williams alongside Steve Williams of ESPN Tri-Cities, TriCitiesSports.com. And much like Region 1, it was not a good week for us on the picks. The two are connected. We have faith. We always have faith. Unfortunately, it did not work out. But there are still a handful of area teams that are still alive. And a lot of these teams have a good chance to make a nice little run. So we'll get right to it. Also, welcome to the playoffs to the Commonwealth of Virginia. Glad to have you along for the ride. We'll talk about them in a second. Start in Tennessee. Class 2A is the lowest class that we have with people still alive. Bledsoe County at Happy Valley.
Yeah, a little warrior on warrior crime on Warrior Hill
Hey.
Friday night as Bledsoe County makes the trip from Pikeville, my mother's alma mater.
We talk about this
Yes,
every year.
she
Yes,
was-
I've actually been to Pikeville.
Yes, she was valedictorian. My aunt was valedictorian there as well. Their only losses have come to Sequatchie County, where my dad was valedictorian. And I went and kind of broke that family tradition, by the way, when I came up. Nonetheless, I also lost to Marion County. Very good Bledsoe County squad. They played a very tough schedule. Sawyer Burgess is a name to watch there. Pikeville and Bledsoe County, they were up here 2 years ago. Beat Hampton 36-31 in the Class 2A second round game. We kind of got burnt last week going against South Greene with Polk County. Bledsoe County is pretty tough. I like that version of the Warriors to come up here, and I don't like picking the away team, but they came up here 2 years ago and won. They played a tough schedule. I like the Warriors from Pikeville.
I think the only thing that might hurt Happy Valley is that they have not played as tough
Yeah.
a schedule. I think, when you look at some of the wins that we thought were good wins, we thought Hampton was a good win, and they really beat Hampton. But then Hampton goes out and loses the first round of the Class 1A playoff. So I think that's going to hurt Happy Valley. That being said, I think this is a really good Happy Valley team.
Yeah.
So record, forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with Happy Valley because I think this is a team that has the pieces to make a deep run in the playoffs. I think just get the mindset because,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, they have not played a great schedule. Also in Class 2A, South Greene goes to an always tough Marion County.
Yeah, Marion County, 7 of the 10 wins by Marion County have come to playoff teams, including the Polk County team that South Greene beat last week by 10. Marion County beat them 57-0.
Oh, no.
So there you go. Marion County only one loss came to Chattanooga Prep. I don't know where that came from. They are a 3A squad, but that was kind of out of the blue. They have beaten Class 4A Red Bank. They beat Class 5A Ottawa. I know Ottawa, the Owls weren't very good. That game was 62-13. They beat Cleveland 34-0. Cleveland wasn't a great 6A team this year, but they've played tough competition as well. You looked at Marion County, they were 34-4 in the last 3 seasons, defending state 2A champions. Mason Mays, 728 yards rushing, 13 touchdowns, 96 tackles on defense. A couple of guys that have thrown, or Zayden Humphreys, thrown for a TD, rushed for 9 TDs, caught 2 touchdown receptions, got 30 tackles on defense. Marion County's loaded. Okay. It's a long trip for South Greene as well, but this is a very good Marion County team. I like them.
Well, having spent some time in the Chattanooga area covering all those teams that you just railed off there, albeit 15 years ago, they're all traditional powerhouses. They're always teams that even in down years or tough outs, Marion County is long been one of the best teams in Class 2A. This year is no different. Very good season for South Greene. I just think going to Marion County is a tough ask. So I will unfortunately pick against the home team or not, they don't play at home, but our home team, our home area, and pick Marion County. Speaking of the Chattanooga area, Unicoi County makes the trip to Chattanooga proper to take on Tyner Academy.
And Tyner Academy has played Class 4A Red Bank and beaten Red Bank, and have beaten Class 5A Ottawa 62-13 and beaten Cleveland from 6A 34-0. So Tyner Academy, another very good football team. They've got a guy by the name of Peyton Dyer, a cornerback, going to Southern California.
Oh, is that
And
all?
so Tyner Academy's only loss this year was to Nashville Christian, #1 school in Division I 2A or Division II single A. And their quarterback, Jared Curtis, he's the #1 quarterback in the country. Going to Georgia, they just lost by 7 because of this cornerback. So Unicoi County's passing game could have a tough road at Tyner Academy, and I like Tyner Academy to win this game.
One of the things about Unicoi County in Class 3A is that when they play these schools that are traditionally more athletic schools, like Austin East a few years ago or a few times has come up to Unicoi County, it's where they struggle. Unicoi County's not going to get beat in scheme or in discipline or in any of that kind of stuff. Drew Rice and his staff does an outstanding job of making sure his kids are always in the right place. And, when the athletic talent is equal, Unicoi County, I'm going to pick them every time because they're very well coached. Tyner Academy can out athlete them.
Yeah.
It's just always been that kind of program where they've had the kind of kids that you just mentioned just running through the program. I think this is going to be closer than some of these games have been before when they played Austin East and those types of programs. But again, going on the road to Tyner Academy, I haven't been to that stadium in a long time, but I can tell you it's dark. It's not a great stadium. It's a tough place to play because of that. I just think it's going to be a tough draw. So I'm going to pick Tyner, unfortunately, in this game as well. Moving up to Class 4A now, White County visits Greeneville.
White County, the fourth version of the Warriors that we've discussed. Everybody got their nickname Warriors in the playoffs.
It's very
now.
popular.
Anyway, White County stumbled into the playoffs, lost their last two regular season games to Upperman and to Stone Memorial by a combined 58-0. Now, Upperman and Stone Memorial are still playing too,
Right.
by the way, and they're going to be playing probably into next week. So they're two very good football teams. White County just won over 5 and 6 Hickson by 6 in the first round last week. White County has got to be able to run the football. Very good running back with the name of Cole Sims, 271 carries, 1,500 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns. White County's only chance is to keep the ball on the ground with Sims and dent that Greeneville defense, which nobody else has been able to do all year. They can't score with Greeneville, so they got to shorten the game. Nobody's been able to do that. If Greeneville jumps ahead early, this one could get ugly early. I like Greeneville.
Even if they are able to kind of grind out the clock, Greeneville has such a quick strike presence. I mean, 70, 80 yard touchdowns all over the place. I don't think it'll matter. I'll take Greeneville as well. Moving up to Class 6A, Blackman comes to Dobyns-Bennett.
Well. We have a team from the mid-state coming to Kingsport. When's the last time that happened?
Oh, I don't know if I...
2002. Montgomery Bell Academy and Riverdale were both in Kingsport in 2002. Dobyns-Bennett did not win either game. The Indians' last win over a team from the mid-state in Kingsport was pre-me, 1961, Montgomery Bell Academy. Can you believe that?
Most of these kids' grandparents weren't even born then.
Exactly. So Blackman has only lost one game. That was to Oakland, 32-0. Very, very stingy defense. They've allowed 7 or fewer points to 7 of their 11 opponents, 10 or fewer to 9 of their 11. Dobyns-Bennett's going to have a tough time this with Jaden Lark, junior wide receiver Brylan Odor. Tough athletes for Blackman. Can Dobyns-Bennett match up? I'm not sure, but I like Dobyns-Bennett at home in this one. This is one of my upsets of the week. I like Dobyns-Bennett moving on to the quarterfinals, finally getting a team making the long trip to Kingsport instead of vice versa. I like the Indians here.
I love what the Indians have done this year. I can't pick them there for all the reasons that you described. Their schedule has just been, one of the things that I think hurts Region 1 when we talk about how poorly Region 1 did is the lack of competition. The teams at the top are very, very good, but the teams at the bottom are a lot of times pretty weak. And I think that hurts these teams when they come to the playoffs because they just haven't had a lot of tough, tight games in the playoffs. And so I think this is going to be a great game, but sorry, Dobyns-Bennett. I'm going to have to go against you and pick Blackman. Yeah, me, not Steve. I did it. Do not send your hate mail to Steve. I'm used to the hate mail. Science Hill at Greeneville.
Yeah, Science Hill. What a game last week at Oak Ridge. Unbelievable. I did not think that Science Hill was going to win that game. You look at it, it's 24-14 minutes ago in the first half. Oak Ridge has got like first and goal at the 4. They're going up 31-14, I think. They end up getting a penalty. Science Hill keeps them out of the end zone, force a 27-yard field goal from Oak Ridge Mr. Football semifinalist kicker. Science Hill blocks it, returns it for a touchdown, and the game is completely changed. And Science Hill goes on to win. Now they get to go to Greeneville. Greeneville's a very new school in the state. This is only
I had to Google where it was.
Yeah, exactly. What, Mount Juliet, the address, something like that. So they opened in 2020, and the first football season was an independent schedule. So they joined the TSSAA in 2021. They've gone 44-14 in the 5 years since. They've been to the playoffs every year. So the Hawks are a very good football team. You look at Science Hill, we talked about the quarterback, Lane Clement, coming from Wyoming, had to learn a complete new system, complete new responsibilities, but he was under the tutelage of head coach Stacy Carter. We know what Stacy does with quarterbacks in his ability to coach them. The last 2 weeks, Lane Clement has been unbelievable. He's been on target. He's hit multiple different receivers. He's thrown a beautiful deep ball. So I think Science Hill can go on the road and win this. I just don't think they will. That's what I said last week. Hey, it worked last week for you, Toppers. I hope Science Hill goes down there and win, but I just got to go with Greeneville on this one.
Yeah, we both picked against you last week. Uses it motivation because I just think that's a long way to go, and I think that is a tough matchup that you mentioned against Green Hill. For whatever reason, when teams from this area start playing the Nashville teams, particularly the larger classifications, that's when they have a lot of trouble getting past them. I'm going to pick against Science Hill. I'm going to pick Green Hill, like he said. Prove us wrong. All right, so now we move over to the Commonwealth of Virginia, which, unlike Tennessee, everybody plays in their little region until the state quarterfinals. So we are guaranteed to have, unless somehow we end up with like Rural Retreat and Richlands and in the championship, we're going to have probably 3 or 4 teams from our area in all playing for a few weeks at least. So let's start with Class 1. I almost said 1A. Caught myself.
One.
Class 1, no A's in Virginia, except for in the region. So Class 1, Region D, Northwood at Honaker.
Didn't we just talk about them?
Yeah, it's deja vu all over
A
again.
couple of weeks ago, right? And Honaker won that game fairly comfortably. You look at freshman quarterback Parker Lowe last week, 32 for 40, 323 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's going to be fun to watch for his 4 years at Honaker. I picked Honaker a couple of weeks ago. I don't see any reason why I go against that and pick somebody different this week. Northwood, they're in the playoffs. Congratulations. First time since 2015. Big step for the Panthers.
Yeah, an amazing season for Northwood for sure. I will say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Joining Steve, I'm taking Honaker. I have been on the Northwood bandwagon all year. I think they've done an incredible job. I just think Honaker's kind of a tough match for them in the first round. Twin Springs at Chilhowie.
Hey, Chilhowie, the defense allowed 15 points last week. What's up with that? That's a season high that Holston put on them last week, but that defense only allows 8 points per game, and it's going to be very tough for Twin Springs. They've lost 2 of their last 3, allowing 49 and 42 points. Chilhowie's going to do some damage here in the postseason. Another Warriors team, by the way, so I'll pick the Warriors.
I said a few weeks ago, I believe that Chilhowie is the number 2 team in Region 1D. I'm standing by that. I'm picking Chilhowie. They've had an amazing season. Holston at Rye Cove.
Holston goes on the road to Rye Cove. It's a Rye Cove team that we talked about had to play Lord Botetourt to begin with. Couldn't find any games. The 2 games they've lost to Eastside and Chilhowie by I think a combined 23 points. Those teams are 19-1. So don't count out Rye Cove by any stretch in the postseason. Holston lost, I think, last week to Chilhowie by 25 itself. So I think Rye Cove battle tested here in the playoffs. They're ready to make another run. I'll take the Eagles.
Rye Cove is legit number 3 seed in this region as this plays out. They're a very good football team. Holston is a little bit down, which, gosh, I think all schools wish they could make the playoffs in down years, but they are a little bit down this year, so I will pick Rye Cove in this as well. Final one, unbeaten Eastside. I think the first unbeaten season in school history. They are hosting Rural Retreat.
Now, Spartans have beaten everybody soundly in winning those 2 games, except for Rural Retreat. Remember, they had to get a touchdown and 2-point conversion with 3 seconds to go to win 36-35 in that first matchup. But this is going to be different this time around. You know, you look at this East Side, what they've done in the last 4 years. These freshmen were 1-9. Then they went 6-5. And then last year, 11-2. This year, 10-0. That's how you build a program.
Yeah.
That kind of a senior class. I like East Side to roll here.
The thing is that I don't know that they have very many seniors, just a couple. They're mostly sophomores and juniors. So you talk about building a program. This is a program that's going to be at the top for quite some time. I just think that they've done an amazing job at turning Eastside into the kind of program, it's tough for them because they are in the shadow of Union, very close to Union, and at times Central has been very good as well. So there they are, the smaller school kind of in the shadow, but they are football in Wise County is alive and well. Very good season. I'm picking Eastside as well. Moving up to Class 2, Region D, Richlands at Ridgeview. Ridgeview with a huge win last week to grab the 2 seed.
Yeah, I go back to the early in the season. We talked about Ridgeview and what they lost from last year. Like, okay, can the Wolfpack reload. Is this a rebuild or is this a reload? Well, obviously it's been a reload. Okay. When you come into the playoffs 9-1, only loss was to Union the entire year. What they did last week, they got some help from Gate City last week. Let's be honest about that. But they did what they had to do in winning. I think they're going to win again. They're going to win and move on against Richlands.
The game there, and I have to apologize to Samantha Allen, who covered that for us, was
Well,
miserable.
yes.
Cold, windy, rainy, but Ridgeview handled it well. And Kent Grant has done an amazing job in his first year as head coach. He's the athletic director. He's been the assistant coach. He's been around the program for years. But in his first year as head coach, he's done a great job with this program. I'm joining you. I'm taking Ridgeview to get the victory as well. Gate City, as a result of their loss, now has to go on the road. Congratulations to play Graham.
Man, has there been a more damaging loss?
Yeah, that's tough.
Recently, I mean, you go from probably hosting this week until you're on the road against, a defending state champion team that stumbled out of the gate, but's been dominating opponents the last 6 weeks in Graham. What a tough draw for Gate City. You looked at that game last week. They had 20 first downs to Ridgeview 6, 350 total yards to Ridgeview's 196. But they fumbled 9 times. Now they lost 2. One was returned for a touchdown. I wasn't at the game, but I bet a number of those fumbles were probably drive killers behind that got them behind the chain, stuff like that. So it's a tough loss for Gate City. We mentioned what Graham has done. Defending state champion, 500 total yards last week. They grinded out 353 yards rushing by 9 different guys. And it's a Gate City team that saw some kids kind of gimpy after the game. Quarterback Zane Reed was gimpy. Corey Bird was gimpy. Lineman Nick Yeomans was gimpy. That's not going to work for Gate City. It's just a tough draw. I did not see the Blue Devil season ending like this early against Graham, but I think unfortunately I'll pick the G-men.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Gate City the fact that Graham got off to that rough start. Otherwise, they probably avoid them in the first round of the playoffs. But as a result, they got to go to Graham. That's a tough draw. I will take the G-men as well. Lehigh at Union. Lehigh came up big in the last week of the regular season.
Yeah, where did that come from? I mean, congratulations to the Generals. I didn't even have you in the playoffs going into last week. And you beat Abingdon for the first time in, 20 years? And you get a rematch now with unbeaten Union, who won soundly at the beginning of the season. And I think they will win soundly again. But give credit to Lee. They were just injury besieged during the course of the year. They fought through that. Found somewhat of a new identity at times as too to navigate the schedule and make the playoffs. Quite a job by the Generals even getting to this point.
Yeah, Joey Carroll's done an amazing job. I mean, as bad as their injuries were, and you see some of the games where it was like they were losing the teams that they there's no way they lose if they're healthy. For them to rally back and beat Abingdon, who also is also injury besieged.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that a little bit later. But just to get to the playoffs, unbelievable accomplishment. It does end here against Union. Talk about games that we just talked about. Just 2 weeks ago, actually not even two full weeks ago, because it was on a Monday. This time, this game will be at Virginia High as Lebanon makes a trip to Bristol.
Yeah, these two teams play second time in 11 days? Was last Monday, I think, that they played in Lebanon. Virginia High won soundly in that game. Now, Lebanon didn't have Lane Jesse that night, and he came back last week against Tazewell, had 200 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 8 tackles. He will help the Pioneers, but it won't be enough to get past the Bearcats. The Bearcats also beat Lebanon in the first round last year, and I think they repeat that again this year.
It was really strange for me to watch that Lebanon game, and I realized Lane Jesse wasn't there, but I was in Lebanon for about the first quarter or so of that game against Virginia High. And I'm not sure what's happened to them in the second half of the season, but they have far less confidence and swagger as they did at the beginning of the season when they were undefeated. I don't know if it's because they are losing some games. I don't know if there's some injuries, but it's beyond Lane that were slowing them down, but they just don't look mentally like the same team as they were early in the year. They've got the best quarterback probably in Southwest Virginia. So anything is possible, right? But I do think based on what I saw against Virginia High, that big of a gap is going to be difficult to close in 11 days. So I will take the Bearcats. I wouldn't be surprised at all if 11-1 though. I think it's going to be a great matchup. Final game in Class 3 Region D. Abingdon travels to Magna Vista, and the Falcons absolutely go. What would Falcons do? Flounder? No, that would be a fish. I don't even know. They're stumbling in the playoffs. It's been a rough year injury wise for them.
Yeah, no question about it. And I don't know a whole lot didn't know a whole lot about Magna Vista, but I'm not shocked to learn that they are the Warriors.
Yeah, well, of course they are. That's the theme of tonight.
Yes. And Magna Vista was 9-0, outscoring on their opposition 400-92 coming into last week, and lost to George Washington 50-49 in double overtime. So they've scored a bunch of points this year. You know, Abingdon, another team, as you mentioned, just injury riddled. Tough year for Abingdon in that regard. And it sounds to me like that Magna Vista is pretty good. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Warriors again.
It's been a tough year for Abingdon, and I think it makes it tougher because the expectations were so high. They were our preseason number one in our top 5 Tuesday. Spent a good portion of the year till they started getting hit with the injury bug at number one. But I just don't think that they have the horses at this point. They've limped into the playoffs. They lost, as we mentioned, to Lehigh going into the playoffs. I hate picking against Abingdon, but I just think the injuries are too much. So I'll also pick Magna Vista. Anything on your mind this week?
Mileage.
Mileage, yeah. I mean, lots of mileage.
You know, and we just went through the Virginia games, and we had how many rematches? Lee and Union's a rematch. Lebanon and Virginia High is a rematch, right?
All of the
Little Retreat and Eastside is a rematch. Northwood and Honaker's. So we had 4 of the 9 rematches. You know,
Right.
Virginia just jumps right into the rematch.
Oh yeah, some of these teams will play twice. A lot of them will play twice. In basketball, sometimes they play 5 times.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, you know, they're trying to get away from that. And so no rematches in any of the first 2 rounds by design. And while it's produced some intriguing matchups, Blackman's coming to Dobyns-Bennett, okay? Now, I'm okay with that because I'm at home. But I was on the Science Hill broadcast team, and I was going to Greeneville. That's 270 miles.
Right.
Blackman is coming 277 miles to Dobyns-Bennett. Those are the 2 longest trips in Division I TLSAA in the second round. You know who would be coming to Kingsport if the playoff bracket were the same this year as it was last year?
Science Hill.
Science Hill.
Yeah.
So we'd have a Science Hill Dobyns-Bennett
I mean,
rematch.
and who would hate that? I mean, who would hate that?
I wouldn't hate that, but the mileage, I calculated every mileage for every school in Division I, the traveling schools. Okay. It is, and the differential from what the bracket would have been, it's an extra 9,355 miles. It's an average of over 200 miles for each of the visiting teams. Extra.
Here's the thing that I don't understand. Because you mentioned it would be Science Hill Dobyns-Bennett in this round under the previous systems. Why is that a bad thing? Like it fosters rivalry. Who's going to put more butts in the stands? A Science Hill Dobyns-Bennett rematch, one of the greatest rivalries in our area, or Blackman? Blackman's an amazing football team. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but nobody's coming.
Nobody's coming to that game. That's why this works in Virginia. The rivalry right now between Rural Retreat and Eastside, who's played in the last 2 championships, and they would meet again in the next round if this holds out, is unreal. Coburn will be packed. First of all, it'd be the first time that they get them in Coburn, because all the rest of the games have been in Duffield. There's just nothing bad about fostering these rivalries. I mean, I know that this stems from, I think, a certain region in our area that got sick of always playing each other. I don't want to call too many people out, but I think you can figure out who it is. But outside of them, I think most people think that fostering these rivalries are a good thing.
Yeah, and I've had people comment on this piece I wrote on Tri-City Sports about the mileage differential that, you know, hey, the TLSAA, it's all about the money to them. This does nothing to help them revenue-wise.
No, it costs more money.
It's going to cost more money for them. They're dependent on people coming to the games. They get part of the gate receipts. If there's no gate receipts and they're decreased, they're not making more money doing this. Now, like I said, does it give you a newer matchups? Maybe some teams you haven't seen in the past? Sure. The 48 first or second round matchups, if the brackets had stayed the same, 21 would have been rematches. Okay, there is that. Okay, and I get that to some degree, you know, but we're deprived of a second Dobyns-Bennett Science Hill matchup in 2 weeks in the playoffs with everything on the line as well for Science Hill to go to Greeneville and Blackman to come here. I don't know what the right thing is. I do like the freshness of the matchups. I don't like the travel. The other thing is they didn't want some parts of the state didn't want teams matched up early in the bracket. Okay. If the bracket had not changed, who would be coming to Greeneville this week?
I'm guessing it is probably what, Alcoa?
Alcoa.
Yeah,
Number one versus number two in the second round. Now, nobody wanted that apparently.
right.
It may still happen, but we'll be here 2 weeks talking about.
That's the thing. That's the thing. To be the champion, you're gonna have to beat the best eventually. You can't just sit back and hope for somebody else to upset them early on.
Right.
So you don't have to. I mean, it happens, but you still have to. You're still gonna have to face them more than likely at some point if you want to win a championship. Now, okay, great. You get to say you lost them in the third round instead of the second round. Okay,
Right.
but yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that is what's. I don't think that's what's best for the
Yeah.
fans. I don't know that it provides the best experience for the kids. I mean, who really wants to, if Science Hill loses or if Blackman loses, who really wants to spend 4 hours in a bus back home after a loss like that in the second round of the playoffs? That's miserable.
It is miserable. So, and there's examples like that all across the state. So, I don't.
Yeah, because Unicoi County to Tyner,
Yeah.
being in this here, we think of Chattanooga is only like 3 hours, but Unicoi County is another hour from here. So that's 4 hours from Unicoi County to Tyner.
Right. And South Greene's going on a long trip to Marion County.
Right.
They're going longer. Everybody's going longer. Very few instances in the bracket that I find where somebody is closer.
Yeah.
In this new matchup. So it's a lot of miles. I mean, 9,000. I mean, you can drive from here to the top of Alaska and Prudhoe Bay and back and still have miles to spare and the extra miles. Okay. It's about 200 miles a game extra. And buses are expensive. Gas is expensive. I mean, and
Feeding kids, all of that.
all that. So I don't know. I see the point with the fresher matchups. I get that, but I just don't know if it's worth the extra cost for the travel. So that's kind of my
Good talk. I like it.
There you go.
I like it. We agree too, because and personally and selfishly, I like obviously
Oh,
the
yes.
local matches. I just it attracts more eyes. It gets more interest. Even if you're not a Science Hill and Dobyns-Bennett fan, let's say you're a Westridge fan, you're still more apt to want to watch Science Hill and Dobyns-Bennett as opposed to Blackman and Dobyns-Bennett. So
Prove me wrong and come to J. Fred Johnson on Friday.
yeah, show up. I don't think they will. It's going to be cold.
Yes.
But anyway, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you want more, like that great article from Steve, be sure to check out his website at tricitysports.com. And for all your scores and highlights, join me at 11:15 on News 5 Friday for Friday Night Huddle.